But time now to move on, and I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our esteemed guest, Mr. Robert Maciejko, founder, AI Strategy and Board Advisor, Board AI Institute, and a member of National Association of Corporate Directors, NACD, to further the tone of this session and deliver a keynote address for the forum. Robert Maciejko is a globally experienced AI strategist, board advisor, and business leader with a distinguished track record across leading consulting and academic institutions. He's the founder of the Board AI Institute, where he advises boards and senior executives on governing artificial intelligence as a strategic asset with a focus on value creation, risk oversight, and responsible adoption. Over the course of his career, he has held senior roles at premier global firms, including McKinsey and Company, Boston Consulting Group, Oliver Wyman, and he scaled high-impact business practices. A graduate of Princeton University and an MBA from INSEAD, he remains actively engaged with INSEAD's global AI and alumni ecosystem. Mr. Maciejko is also a member of the National Association of Corporate Directors, USA. Widely recognized as a board-level operator, he's sought-after thought leader on AI governance and has been featured in leading global publications, including the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, CNBC, Forbes, and Harvard Business Review, to name a few. Thank you so much, Robert, for joining us, and I'll hand it across to you.
Thanks so much, Anisha. That's very kind. Thank you, Manoj and the Institute of Directors for inviting me today. It's an honor. Jack be nimble indeed, and I'll go into that a bit in the world of AI. I want to start with a story that happened here in India. June 2023, you might remember Sam Altman came by, the CEO of OpenAI, and was asked whether a small, nimble, well-funded Indian team could build a world-class foundation model. His answer was blunt. He said, "It's totally hopeless to compete with us. Don't even try." Essentially, India, don't even try. An Indian entrepreneur, a friend of mine, heard that and decided to prove him wrong, not by copying the frontier labs or copying OpenAI, but by building a platform that could use LLMs to build autonomous agents in minutes, not months. But here's the question nobody on that stage asked. When AI agents act autonomously inside your company, do you even know who is accountable? Do you? So that is what I want to talk about today. One idea, one framework, and 3 things you can do in your next board meeting. The idea about AI governance is not about slowing AI down. In our view, that would be failure. The idea of AI governance is to build in steering, power steering. Would you drive a car without steering? So it's your role to provide that leadership. And are you ready to steer? So this event is about boardrooms under pressure. Other speakers today will address tariffs, conflict, supply chains, and partially we've already covered some of those topics. I want to address the big risk and opportunity that is sitting inside your company right now. In early 2024, you might have heard this, criminals used deepfakes to steal 250 million Hong Kong dollars from Arup, the global engineering company, UK-based. So that's about $25 million or 215 crore rupees. They assumed that the executive in the room, so in this case, we have a number of executives in the group, they assumed that that executive was real, that the voice was authenticated, and that authority authorized them to make the money transfer. AI removed that assumption. And this is not a distant Western problem. It's not a Hong Kong problem or UK problem. BSE has had to warn investors repeatedly about deepfake videos that showed up on WhatsApp or Telegram giving fake stock information. Sunil Mittal publicly disclosed that fraudsters tried to defraud Bharti Enterprises. So we're not talking about hypothetical risks or some future risks that are far off. Now consider the regulatory environment. And we talked about geopolitics a bit, but AI is part of that as well. The US has no federal AI law. It might at some point, but at the moment there is nothing. The EU AI Act imposes penalties of up to 7% on your income if you do things wrong. So they've gone the other direction. China, in fact, is quite regulated in AI, and you have to register your model with the state to get it to the market at all. India's moved faster than most people in this room might realize, however. In February of this year, MeitY released the India AI Governance Guidelines, and they're anchored in the 7 sutras that put innovation first. But they also demand trust, fairness, and accountability. The new IT rules of this year require mandatory labeling of AI content and takedowns of deepfakes within 2 to 3 hours. The RBI's free AI framework requires that regulated financial institutions have a board-approved AI policy. So India has chosen a principle-driven, sector-specific path. So not Europe's heavy regulation, not America's Wild West, a middle ground that places the governance burden where it belongs, on boards, on you. For organizations that operate across borders, as I'm sure some of yours do, there is no single regulator that's covering your whole company. That's your role, the board. The board is the last line of oversight when every country has different AI rules. So what are we seeing in boards? And you might have experienced this as well. We see 2 governance failures, 2 major governance failures coming up everywhere. And this is US, Europe, anywhere you look. The first is the clueless board. Does that ring a bell? Does that seem like something you might have seen? Imagine a legacy industrial company. The board is mainly retired executives, ex-CEOs from traditional industries. You're a senior manager and your competitor just launched an AI product that is taking customers away from you. You need $50 million to invest to compete with this competitor. When you present to the board, one director says, "Oh, is that like the robots on the factory floor? Or can you help me with my email?" It's a clueless board. Have you seen this? How do you secure critical funding and get the governance and the guidance you need from a board that does not understand the technology? So that is one failure mode that we see, but it's not the only one. There's also the FOMO board, fear of missing out. So imagine you're a financial institution. You have a board that has read every article, has taken the best classes on AI at Harvard or INSEAD, and they demand that you implement generative AI everywhere in the organization in 6 months. Thing is, you don't have the data ready. You have to rebuild your infrastructure over 18 months. So how do you channel that board's, FOMO board's enthusiasm without being thought of as the brake, as resistant to innovation? So both failure modes show up at Indian boardrooms as well. And Indian boardrooms face additional challenges that you know better than I. Family ownership dynamics, rapid digitization, rising regulatory expectations. So it's a complex environment. The RBI's free AI survey tells the story. They looked at 600 regulated financial institutions. Only about 1 in 5 use AI today, 20%. And of those that do, only 1/3 have board level oversight. Now, this is a 5-alarm fire. We can say with certainty that AI is not being governed in boards today in India. That is also true in other countries. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most organizations are failing in both ways at the same time, both in terms of clueless board and FOMO board. You see both tendencies in various organizations. I did an offsite with the Fortune 50 company, one that all of you would know. And in some areas, they were very advanced. In others, to my surprise, they had not really even started. Nora Denzel, a friend from the NACD, a lead independent director of AMD, the chip company. She's also a director of Sony and has been director of other companies, has an interesting phrase for it. She calls it vibe governance. So if you've heard of vibe coding, vibe governance is similar for governance. So we have a policy, we have a framework, we've done some training, we have a tool. It's reassuring to the people of the room, check the boxes, but who owns the outcome? Vibe governance. So what's the answer? Bad AI governance is a brake. That's not what you want to do as a board. You don't want to be the brake. If you focus only on compliance and making sure the risks are minimized, you will, in fact, destroy value and not capture the value that the company can create. Good AI governance is power steering. So like a car with power steering that you can drive safely and that makes yes scalable. So India's own AI governance guidelines actually very much embody this. The third sutra, I don't know if you've seen this and read this, it's literally called innovation over restraint. So very few economies have signaled that thought this explicitly. It's actually a powerful signal of India's ambition. But it also means that the burden falls on you, on the board, to build the governance infrastructure. The state will not do it for you, will not tell you exactly what you can and can't do. We've built a framework to help you steer through this. We call it the STAR framework, STAR. So these are 4 questions that you can ask every quarter in your board meetings about the most important AI initiatives. S is for shareholder value theses. What exactly are we focusing on that raises shareholder value? Are we focusing on the right things? Or do we have 1,000 pilots and a bunch of shadow AI that altogether add up to nothing? Who owns these important initiatives? How do we prove that it's working? And can we shut it down if it's not working or if something goes wrong? Do you know? ST. T is for threat parity. And we talked about deepfakes. Are your defenses as strong as the AI threats that you face? You saw Anthropic has a Mythos model that it won't release because it's apparently so strong that it can find the bugs and the holes in your software before you can patch them up much faster. In early this year, you might have seen that an AI agent gained full read and write access to one of McKinsey's core AI systems. And they got through a basic vulnerability that McKinsey hadn't seen for 2 years after building the system. Now, that's McKinsey, my former colleagues. If that can happen at McKinsey, are you ready for the threats that you might face in your companies? Do you know as a board member? Do you have an understanding of your fiduciary responsibility to understand and to provide ways to deal with these threats? You have to manage AI with the same rigor that you would your company's financial assets. So we went through S and T, and now A. What's A? Ability. Do you actually have the data quality, the talent, the management skills? Have you standardized processes in your companies? One of the directors we interviewed for our paper Krishnan Srinivasan, he is the chief data officer of Maersk, put it this way. If your internal processes are not standardized, AI just automates the chaos. So Krishnan had a quite clear view on this. And RBI's own data that I talked about before confirms this for India. The ambition is there, but the infrastructure is not. It's an ability problem. S, T, A, and now R. R is for risk budget. Where are we willing to take risks? Now, as a board in AI, you're going to have to take risks. And you have to decide which risks you take and which risks you can't take. And you have to understand who's accountable if things go wrong. Think about a bank. Think about a bank that avoided credit risk. That's not a bank at all. They wouldn't have any revenue. The role of a bank is to take risks. But to do that, they have to price the risk accordingly based on the risk that they evaluate. They might take collateral. They hold reserves. So good AI governance is the same thing. It does not reject all use cases. In fact, it assesses the blast radius. What could go wrong if this goes terribly bad? And can we manage that? Is that within our risk budget? And you have to keep decision receipts so you understand who decided what and how to proceed if things go wrong. So if you remember nothing else from my comments today, remember STAR, S-T-A-R. We've described it in detail in a paper that's available for free on SSRN. It was the second most downloaded paper about board AI governance, and it achieved that in 10 days. And I'll put a link after speaking in the chat so you can download it. I think Manoj may share it afterwards as well. So 3 things to take to your next board meeting. First, very important, AI should be on the recurring agenda, not a one-time education session, not some off-site meeting, a standing item. A friend, Dorlisa Fleur, also ex-McKinsey partner on several public boards, quite prominent in the US board scene, put it this way. We need to stop treating AI as a tech update at the end of the agenda. It's not just a tech update. It is the core of your business now. Second thing to do in your board is to distribute AI oversight over your existing committees. So risk can handle control posture, audit, insurance. Human capital committee can cover workforce impact, which you cannot forget. Strategy, or rather the full board, can cover the value realization. You don't necessarily need a new AI committee. You do need to get the existing committees to work and own the AI dimensions of their existing mandates. And actually, this maps naturally to how SEBI listing rules require you to be organized. Third thing you should do, require quarterly STAR reviews of your core AI initiatives. What's the value thesis? What's the threat posture? Do we have the abilities? Are we building the muscle to deliver? And what's our risk budget? Do we have it under control? Do we understand it at all? If any of those dimensions of STAR are missing, that's where you have your governance gap. India has over 8,400 listed companies. It's got the world's second largest AI talent pool, the highest AI skill penetration in the world. That's quite a base. The country hosted the first global AI summit in the global south. 92 countries endorsed the declaration. That's India showing leadership. The governance infrastructure, however, has not caught up to that ambition. And that governance structure is you. That's not a criticism. It's an opportunity. The boards that
Thank
build
you.
structured AI governance now will define India's position in the global economy for the next decade. I want to close with something I believe
Right.
deep. AI does not diminish the importance of the human leader. It demands more from them than ever. The boards and executives that govern AI well will matter more to their organizations than ever before. So the full framework, power steering, not a break, is available for free. I'll put the link in the comments in a moment on SSRN. If you want to apply, start your specific context, I'm also available. I'll put my email in the chat as well. So thank you very much.
Sure, and I'm sure, Robert, you'll be getting a lot of those queries in your email, and all of them will be looking at the paper that you have, kind of alluded to, because the STAR concept will come very handy for a lot of board members. So thank you so much for joining us with those actionable insights.